Hey guys, it's Susan. I am currently cutting out a piece to work on my husband's picture. I recorded about 45 minutes earlier today of working on the Avengers. I was working on the title and the audio didn't record correctly, so 45 minutes of video just went out the tube. I am using natural light for right now just because it's so sunny and so bright outside. So but I wanted to get on real quick and let you know what happened to my video that I worked on earlier today. Where did I cut that out? Oh, right here. Okay. So that is what we're going to work on. See, his face is coming out. So I hope it's going to be okay having it draped down like this. But I put this up here just to be on the safe side, because I don't know if that had anything to do with it not recording right. Hopefully that wasn't really loud in your all's ears. So okay, this has got a little bit of a bubble to it, so let me, it's just the paper, not the canvas. So, but I wanted to do a section that wasn't strictly background. So this, I figured, was my best bet. Yeah, you can see him through there. So I think it's hot stuff. So I hope that everybody's enjoying the diamond painting-a-thon that's going on right now. I did go to a couple of channels, but I didn't stick around too long, so I hope you don't take offense at that. So take my glasses off. I've got my iPad over here, so I'm going to go over, we're going to talk Carpathian during this, and hopefully it will keep recording and won't stop. I don't know how long this is going to be. There's a bunch of books in this series, and I kind of want to touch briefly on all of them. I hope you don't mind. I hope y'all are working on something. So, okay, let's see. Let's start. I'm just going to start with one over here and just go like that, because I don't want to start in the middle with a certain color. I want to start at the end. So right now it looks like the star. There's not very many, so it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, about 15. So I'm not even going to pull it any from the I hope this is going to be okay, guys. I really do. I don't want it to tear up on me. I'll try not to lean against it. So, but, oh, 3726. I'm just going to pull it from the container instead of putting it on the tray. So, and what I'm going to do is that I'm going to give you a brief overview of the series, tell you a little bit about what the Carpathians are, and then I'll go into each book, just kind of give you a brief summary. I'll probably just read, because each book has just like a brief summary on her webpage. And since her webpage is not private or anything, I don't feel bad about reading it. It's just like a quick overview of each book. So, and if you've read these books, please let me know, because I would love to be able to talk shop with a fellow Carpathian fan. But, okay. What the Carpathians are, they are a race of people who, like your traditional vampires, they need blood to survive, but they are not, I repeat, not vampires. I'm using my unicorn pen that I got from Elizabeth's shop, Happy Hippo Finds. But they are not, just zoom in just a little bit. But they are not vampires. They are what vampires were before vampires lose their soul. Okay? And when it means by losing their soul, it means that they have killed for the simple pleasure of killing. Now, Carpathians, the male of the species, they, after about 200 years, they will lose all ability to see in color. They will lose their emotions to where they're basically their only driving force is to stop those that have turned vampire, which is they've taken a life just for the simple act of feeling something. They got tired of not being able to feel anything, so they took a life, and as soon as they do that, they lose their soul, they become vampire. And vampires are not the sexy vampires that you all might know. So, and I love Twilight, but these vampires do not sparkle. They do not walk around in the daylight or anything like that. So I'll just go on with that. Now the female of the species, they do not deal with the same affliction that the men do. They do not lose their ability to see in color. They do not lose their emotions. They're able to go on. So the male, his main focus after he loses his emotions, after he loses his ability to see in color, their driving force is to find that one woman who is their life mate. And by life mate, I mean life mate. I mean the one person that they are meant to be with for all existence. Now, how do you know if they find their life mate? Well, very easy. They have the ability to now see in color. They have their emotions back. And they know almost immediately that they've met the woman that was made just for them. And so normally it had always been a Carpathian woman, but from the first book, which I'll go into, it becomes evident that a human woman can be a Carpathian's life mate. Now, Carpathians, they have the ability to read each other's minds. They can talk to each other in their minds. And life mates, they have this separate path that they're able to talk on. That way they can have private conversations with each other without all the other Carpathians hearing or knowing, because the Carpathians, they share one common link. Okay, the only time that Carpathians are able to talk separately to each other is if A, they're life mates, or B, they have exchanged blood with a fellow life mate. Even a human, if they exchange blood with another human, They are able to know their thoughts. They are able to pretty much tell them what to do. Not necessarily command, unless you get that bad Carpathian, which there really isn't any, unless they turn vampire. So, so if it is a human that they are life mates to, now it's only so far it's always been either two Carpathians or a male Carpathian with a human female. Now the human female has to have psychic ability. They have to be able to talk in each other's minds, or they can't be life mates. It's just, it's just the way it is. So they have to be able to talk to each other. Now, life mates are not able to ever lie to each other, because you can read their mind. They cannot, cheating is out of the question. If you're with your life mate, not only would you not want to cheat, but you couldn't even if you wanted to. So, it's your life mate is just exactly what they say is a life mate. Okay, now, when the male finds his life mate, he is able to say what is basically the Carpathians' marriage vows. It is words that bind them together. And I know it sounds kind of sexist and everything, but it's not really. Because usually, whether the woman realizes it or not, but she belongs with him too. So, but they're able to tie each other together. That way they're able to always be aware of what the other person is doing. Now, if the Carpathian male ties a human female to himself, it becomes very hard on the woman unless she is converted. Because they are like vampires, they are not able to be out in daylight. So during the day, they have to go to the ground, which just means that they are rejuvenated by sleeping underground. Not in coffins or anything like that, just, they're rejuvenated by the soil in the ground. It heals them. So it just strengthens them. It heals them. It pretty much makes them whole. Okay. And unfortunately, if they go into a deep sleep, the female, if they've been tied together, she would reach out for him, but because she can't find him because he's underground and in a deep sleep, she'll think that he's dead, and then she'll start panicking and everything, and they it can become a big mess. But if the woman is strong, then she'll realize what's going on. I'm going to turn the light on. Okay. That's not too bad. So, I think that I've pretty much hit on... Okay, one more thing before I go into the series. For some reason, children have not been able to survive. they can get born, but for some reason, instead of the soil being able to heal and rejuvenate them, the soil becomes almost like a poison to them. So there's not been very many children born lately to the Carpathians because of that. And along with vampire hunters who see no difference between vampires and Carpathians, they have been hunted. So it can get pretty dicey at times. I really think that I'm going to turn this around because it makes me nervous that I'm this close to the edge here. And I know that it's an ever moment picture, but it still makes me nervous. So I'm going to flip it real quick. And then we'll go into the first book, which I hope that you enjoy this discussion. And I hope that if you're interested at all, you would at least read the first book. Because I really think that if you read the first book, you would be hooked. And I didn't even start with the first book. I didn't find the series until the 6th book. Yeah, until the 6th book. So, okay, let's see, get this back in view. Move it. There you go. Couldn't move the tripod picture. Okay. That's better, I think. I hope. So. But, yeah. I think that if you're interested and you do check out the first book, that it really will hook you. Just because it is that good, in my opinion. So. Okay, that's better. I tried putting like a foam roller on this edge here, but I just didn't like it. So I don't know if I just didn't put it on right or something, but okay, this way I can at least put the tray down a little bit. Okay, so I think that I have just about covered everything that I wanted to cover, and so we will move on to the first book. The first book is called Dark Prince. Now you know which one are Carpathian books because of they always start with dark something. So the first one is Dark Prince, and the synopsis on her website, very briefly, states, come on, a telepathic hunter of serial killers, Raven Whitney helps catch some of the most depraved criminals, but her work keeps her from getting close to others and has drained her body and spirit. In need of rest and rejuvenation, she embarks on a vacation far from home. Mikhail Dubrinsky is the prince of the Carpathians, the powerful leader of a wise and secret ancient race that thrives in the night. Engulfed by despair, fearful of never finding the mate who can save him from the encroaching darkness, his soul cries out in loneliness, until the day a beautiful voice full of light and love responds, softly soothing his pain and yearning. From the moment they meet, Raven and Dubrinsky are helpless to resist the desire that sparks between them. But just as fate unexpectedly brings these life mates together, benevolent forces threaten to destroy them and their fragile love. Yet even if they survive, how can these two lovers, Carpathian and human, build a future together? And how can Dubrinsky bring Raven into his dark world without extinguishing her beautiful goodness and light? I think that's a very good synopsis of that book. Now, there are two versions of this book. One is the original that was released. Let's see if this has like the release date on it. It looks like this was released around 1999. So she's been writing these books for 20 years. Isn't that amazing? Okay. So the first book, the original, which I don't even think is in print anymore, was a little bit more modern. And then when her subsequent books started increasing the timeline a little bit, she kind of redid the first book a little bit. And it's actually called the Author's Cut Special Edition. And this makes me nervous. Guys, what am I going to do? Okay. I'm just going to have to go back to the side, because this is going to put a crease in this canvas, and I am not going to like that at all. So, moving once again. I'll just work on the side again. And move you again. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. This would probably be better anyway. I'm more used to this. Yeah, but see, that was putting a crease right in the canvas, and I was like, no. Okay. So the author's cut, the special cut, was it added more pages. It added more of her special Carpathian language that she created. And it pushed the timeline back just a little bit. In the first one, it had like he talked about working on computers and things like that. And in the director's cut, it's kind of like computers are a little bit more dated. They're not as modern. So she just helped the timeline just a little bit. But if you hadn't read the first one and you just read the author's cut, then you're fine. You won't notice any difference. And that drill's sticking to my hands. So, but this book is a really good introduction to the Carpathians. It has a lot of the characters that you meet in it, you will see in future books. Some minor characters. And let me say that for a human to be transformed into a Carpathian, this is the first time they realize that humans can be transformed into a Carpathian. There has to be 3 blood exchanges between the Carpathian and the human. So but I love this story. I have read it so many times that I feel like I can almost recite it word for word. But when Raven meets Mikhail for the first time, she knows that there is a bond between them. And of course Mikhail does, because as soon as he sees her for the first time, it's like he is bombarded with colors and emotion and things like that. So, but like I said, it is a very fitting introduction to the Carpathian series. And so very well done. She has such a voice in the romantic world of writing. Now, the second book takes place roughly 25 years after the first one. It is called Dark. I know this. I do. Dark Desire. And this one actually is about Mikhail's brother. And it is our first introduction to a character whose mother was a life mate to a Carpathian, but was never turned to a Carpathian. And there is something that I'm leaving out, but I don't want to mention it just because I'm afraid that you all would think that it just goes too far. So I'm not going to mention it. But anyway, let me read the brief synopsis of it. Now, I read this book before I read the first book first. So when I first meet Mikhail in this book, I didn't like him because I thought he was a jerk. So, okay. This is Dark Desire. The stranger silently summoned her across the continents, across the seas. He whispered of eternal torment, of endless hunger, of dark, dangerous desires. And somehow American surgeon Shay O'Halloran could feel his anguish, sense his haunting aloneness, and she ached to heal him, to heal herself. Drawn to the far Carpathian mountains, Shay found a ravaged, raging man, a being like no other. And her soul trembled, for in his burning eyes, his icy heart, she recognized the beloved stranger who'd already become a part of her. The imperious Carpathian male had compelled Shay to his side. But was she to be his healer or his prey, his victim or his mate? Was he luring her into madness, or would his dark desire make her whole? Just a brief preface this to say is that for 7 years, let's see, his name is Jacques. They didn't say it there, but his name is Jacques. Jacques was captured by by vampire hunters. And they encased him in a coffin after they put a stake through his heart. They encased him in a coffin, set him upright, and then buried him in a tomb, along with other Carpathians that they had discovered. He had found a link to Shay, and he believed that she was behind the whole thing. So he proceeded to just completely torment her any way he could. I mean, like I said, he was encased in a tomb. She was in America. She couldn't stop what was going on. She didn't know what was going on. She was a surgeon. She's a doctor. And she had no medical reason for what she was going through. But when she had to run for her life, she ran to the Carpathian Mountains, where he proceeded to continue to draw her closer to him. And she found him in that tomb, almost dead, 7 years. He was like that. And So when he was freed, he believed that she was responsible for tormenting him. So when he was free, he bit her and took her blood, and as soon as he did, that's when he realized who she really was. He realized that she was his life mate because he proceeded to see in color, and then everything came rushing back to him. So then he had to make sure that she survived, but he had to survive as well. So she was able to get him out of that tomb and back to where she was staying, and she proceeded to try to heal him. And while she was in the village getting supplies, another Carpathian saw her. It was a Carpathian that just happened to be Jacques' best friend, and he could smell Jacques on her. He thought that she was tormenting Jacques, so he went to the prince, Michael, and proceeded to tell him that he thinks he found his brother, whom everybody believed was dead, because nobody had heard from him on their telepathic line or anything like that. So he proceeds to find her, and this is when I thought he was jerk, because he was hurting her because she thought that he thought that she was hurting his brother, and it just came this big old long mess and blah 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 blah. But it all got straightened out. So there was a main healer in the Carpathians. His name was Gregory. It's probably Gregory is what it's supposed to be. He is the princess' second in command, so to speak. So he uses his power to heal Jacques and is able to heal him a lot quicker than she was able to. So once Jacques got healed, it became a case of being able to Jacques needed to convince Shay to stay with him because he knew that they were life mates. And so I should also say that I'm not going to say more because I don't want to give anything away if you're interested in reading these. So needless to say, those two end up staying together. I'm not going to go into all the here, what, through, and what, whatever. So, because I don't want to give anything away. So, I've read this book quite a few times. Most of the books, especially the early ones, I've read over and over again because they're really good go-to books when I just want to lose myself in something. I'll read those. I think I'm done with the A's. So, all right. Book 3. Book 3, we have our own first. We have our first blonde Carpathian, because most Carpathians are dark and dark-haired and things like that. But we meet Aiden, who is blonde. Okay. This one is called Dark Gold. Probably because his hair is blonde. Okay, here it is. Was he a man or a miracle? Alexandria Houghton would sacrifice anything, even her life, to protect her orphaned little brother. But when both encountered unspeakable evil in the swirling San Francisco mists, Alex could only cry to heaven for their deliverance. And out of the darkness swooped Aiden Savage, a golden being more powerful, more mysterious than any other creature of the night. The ageless Carpathian male snatched them from a hideous fate. But was Aiden a miracle or a monster? Alex's salvation or her sin? If she surrendered to Aiden Savage unearthly seduction, gave him the color, the light, the family he craved. Would Alex truly save her brother or sacrifice more than her life? This is the first book that takes place in the United States because Mikhail, as Prince, sent hunters out into other countries to protect people from vampires that might be out there. So, let's see. Yeah, 1775. So, this is our first book into it takes place in America. I don't think I have that many ends, but this book was good. I really liked Aiden. I'm not such a big fan of Alexandria, honestly, to tell you the truth. I think out of all the women that has been in these stories, I think she's my least favorite. I think that she gave Aiden the biggest challenge, just with him even trying to convince her that they belong together. And I don't know. I mean, I like the book, don't get me wrong. I'm just not a big fan of her. See, I only had like 4 ends. No, there's another one. And I pulled all these out. Great. So, oh, there's some. I saw his eyes are brown, so I would have thought that there would be some brown in his eyes. Okay, I think that I'm just going to read the synopsis and just go with that, because I think that if I go into each plot line, that this video will take forever, and I don't want to give too much of each story away. So I just want to introduce you all to them. So, okay, that was book 3. Book 4 is called Dark Magic. And this one actually has Mikhail's and Raven's daughter, who was actually the first Carpathian to have survived into adulthood in a very long time. So, there is a backstory to her and Grigori's story that you find out about in Dark Desire. So, okay, this one is called Dark Magic. Young Savannah Dubrinsky was a mistress of illusion, a world-famous magician capable of mesmerizing millions. But there is one, Grigori, the Dark One, who held her in terrifying thrall, whose cold silver eyes and heated sensuality sent shivers of danger, of desire, down her slender spine. With a dark magic all his own, Grigori, the implacable hunter, the legendary healer, the most powerful of Carpathian males, whispered in Savannah's mind that he was her destiny, that she had been born to save his immortal soul. And now, here in New Orleans, the hour has finally come to claim her, to make her completely his, in a ritual as old as time and as inescapable as eternity. Sounds exciting, don't it? It is. It's very exciting. Grigori is one messed up Carpathian until he finally gets her. And so I do not know where my spoon went to. So, but yeah, Savannah is Raven and Mikhail's daughter, and Grigori knew from the very onset that she was going to be his life mate. He orchestrated it. I will not go into any further than that. You'll have to read Dark Desire. But yeah, he really is the most powerful Carpathian out there. Everybody is terrified of him because of his power, and he watches over Mikhail religiously. He is the second in command. So he ensures that nothing happens to Mikhail. He ensures that he eliminates any threat to Mikhail. So think of Secret Service protecting the president and taking a bullet for the president. Yeah, that would be Grigori. So alright, next book is book 5. It is called Dark Challenge. And this one is about Aiden's twin brother, Julian. And let me see if I have any more equal sign before I go into that one. I don't see any. Okay. Dark Challenge. Okay. Julian Savage was golden, powerful, but tormented. But tormented. For the brooding hunter walked alone, always alone, far from his Carpathian kind, alien to even his twin, which is Aiden. From book 3. Until he met, like his name, his existence was savage. Until he met the woman he was sworn to protect. When Julian met Desari Singh, rainbow swamped his starving senses. Emotions bombarded his hardened heart, and a dark hunger to possess her flooded his loins, blinding him to the danger stalking him. But even as Desari inflamed him, she dared to defy him. With mysterious, unparalleled feminine powers. Was Desari more than his perfect mate? Julian had met his match in this woman, but would she drive him to madness or save his soul? Now, one thing to remember is that Desari is a Carpathian female, and I don't want to go too deep into her past because it would take a while. But needless to say, she did not grow up around the Carpathians. So when Julian finds her, he's baffled by the fact that she knows nothing about their way of life. So he basically has to teach her about Carpathians. And if you read the book, you find out why that is like that. So I feel like I would not be able to do it justice. Excuse me. It's got this view, but this is this is a good book, although I probably only maybe read it once or twice, but that's that's nothing against the book or anything. I forgot a star. So it's just some books are easier for me to read more than once. Some take a little while, and this is one of them. But it's still a good story because it introduces the Dark Troubadours, who you will see in future books. So, but you got Julian Savage and Desari. Her name is spelled Desari, so I'm just guessing that is what it is pronounced as. So, okay. This is already getting close to an hour, so I might end up breaking this down into 2 parts. Okay. What did I say the stars were? 3726. I fill that in real quick before I forget. Okay, so we got 5. All right, now we're going to move on to what my first introduction to the Carpathians were. Is a book called Dark Fire. Okay, so this is my first introduction to the Carpathians. I will be honest with you, I had no idea what I was reading about because it was brand new to me. So let me read the synopsis. There is always a price to pay. So Darius warned her when she accepted a position with his traveling troupe. Darius is Desari's brother. So we're still with the Dark Troubadours. And gazing mesmerized at the merciless slash of his mouth, the implacable resolve on his face, the soulless emptiness of his black eyes, Tempest was afraid to ask what it was. She had always been different, apart from others. From the moment his arms closed around her, enveloping her in a sorcerer's spell, Darius seemed to understand her unique gifts. But did his kiss offer the love and belonging she sought, or a danger more potent than his own panthers? Somewhere deep inside herself, Tempest realized she knew the answer. She had no choice but to accept the velvet stroke of his tongue, submit to the white-hot heat piercing her skin, welcome an erotic pleasure like no other. Wow. This was my first introduction to the Carpathian series. And wow. I mean, it was amazing. Yeah, I just fell in love almost immediately, and I had to find the other books that I hadn't read. So, like I said, Darius is Desari's brother, and they do travel in a group with 3 other Carpathians, and of course Julian joined as soon as he had met Desari. So, and they needed a mechanic to help with their vehicles. So that's how they met with Tempest. So Darius is very he is very set in his ways. He has spent his entire life protecting his family, and again, they didn't grow up with other Carpathians, so they did not know their culture, I guess you could say. And so he's one of those guys that, he spent his entire existence looking out for his family. So when he finally found Tempest, he just automatically wanted to take her in because, again, first time he saw her, he knew. And so he wanted to make sure that they stayed together. And he would have done anything to make sure that happened. So he's very domineering to the point of exhausting. I've read some people say that they did not like his attitude at all. But I just kind of got used to it, I mean, he's just being him, he's always been a protector of his family, and once he meets her, he considers her family, and that's all there was to it. So, but yeah, that was my first introduction to the Carpathian series was Darkfire, book number 6. So, I think that is all of the 5s. Okay. So, book 7 is a novella, so it's a very short story. I won't say a very short story, but it's a shorter story. It is called Dark Dream. And it is... She's known him since she was 15. Every night he was with her, his voice, his face. Tonight, Sarah Martin will meet the man who is both angel and demon, salvation and temptation. Falcon, the Carpathian, the banished hero. Tonight, Sarah will meet the dark-eyed destroyer, destined to be her mate. This one is one of those that she accepts it very quickly, if I'm not mistaken. I've only read it a couple of times, even though it is a shorter story. But it is still good. It's a good introduction to the Carpathians if you just want to try out a shorter story and not invest into one of the bigger stories. So definitely one to check out if you want to check out the stories. Okay. The next book, Dark Legend, is absolutely, positively my favorite story of all of them. And she's released 32 books. And book 6 or 7 or 8. Book 8 is my favorite. I have read this one so many times. It is not even funny. Okay. It's called Dark Legend. And it says, he woke deep within the ground, and his first sensation he felt was hunger, an overwhelming hunger for blood that demanded satisfaction. But as he hunted the dark streets of Paris for prey, a voice called to him, soothing, calming, giving him the strength to control his craving. Francesca del Ponce was a healer, a woman who radiated goodness as powerfully as the sun did light. But surely his obsession with her would turn him as his twin brother had turned, leaving the world with two monsters instead of one. Though he knew she would be like hot silk in his arms, though he knew the taste of her would be addictive, he feared for her life and his soul as if he took her. Then with one mind-shattering vow she gave herself. I offer freely, without reservation. I offer my life for yours, as is my right. And with a firestorm of long-forgotten feelings, he glimpsed salvation. Now, let me explain that to you, what she said. Francesca is a Carpathian. She's not a human. She recognizes, his name is Gabriel. They didn't say this in here, but his name is Gabriel. She recognizes him for who he is as soon as she sees him. Because she's seen him when she was younger, years and years before. So she knew who she was. She knew who she belonged to. And as soon as she realized that the homeless-looking man that she had picked up to help was Gabriel, she knew that she needed to do everything in her power to get him back to full strength so that he can fight the being that is his twin brother, because everybody believes that his twin brother had turned into a vampire. So he needed the strength. She was going to give it to him, and she says, I offer my life for yours, as is my right, because she knew that she was his life mate. And as soon as she said that, Gabriel knew right away. So he did what he needed to do to ensure her survival. So, very good book. Very, very good book. This book also introduces us to Skylar, who is a child or a teenager who has had a very, very rough life. And they end up adopting her, and she becomes a pivotal part in future books. So, 9, that's 451. So, that is my favorite book. Now, book 9 is Dark Guardian. Dark Guardian is about Gabriel's twin brother. So, who is not, as he tried to make everybody believe, a vampire. And you'll find out why he does that if you read Dark Legend. Excuse me, I think I got a sneeze. Okay. Again, this is called Dark Guardian. Jackson Montgomery is a woman hunted. Trained by the Special Forces, honed by a traumatic childhood, she is a policewoman with an undisputed reputation. She meets her match when she is set up to be murdered by an enemy. Hunted on all sides, she can only turn to the mysterious stranger who seems more dangerous than any other she has ever known. He ran with the wolves, materialized from the mists, hijacked the very heavens to his whims. He was the dark guardian of his people. So how, after centuries of bleak, soulless existence, had he suddenly come to crave petite, curvy, colorful lady cop Jackson Montgomery, who foolishly made it her life's work to protect others from harm, including him? She does everything she could because she believes that he needs her to protect him. I love this story. I think it's really well done. I love her character. The things that happened to her when she was younger made her such a strong woman, a powerful woman, and a real match for Lucian. His name is Lucian. Lucian. So, very good book. Very awesome series. I think that was book 9. I will tell you about book 10, and then I will end this part and continue with the next part. I left a couple of A's there. I'll get them here in just a second. But I think that's all the 9s. Okay. Book 10. Book 10 is called Dark Sympathy. I'm sorry, Dark Symphony. Forgot what color I was on. And Dark Symphony is about Jacques from book 1. This is about his best friend. So, this one is a little bit different, I thought. Byron, a Carpathian male and hunter of the vampire, follows the sound of compelling music to Italy. There he discovers his life mate, Antoinetta Scarlatti, heiress to the great Scarlatti fortune. A renowned concert pianist, Antoinetta is the glue that holds the Scarlatti family together. Blinded in an explosion that killed her parents, she nevertheless stands to run the family shipping business. Antoinetta lives in the Palazzo della Morte, the Palace of Death. There, like her ancestors, she finds someone wants her dead. Antoinetta has a few secrets of her own, and together, Byron and Antoinetta face the killers and one out-of-control Carpathian youth. Don't let that last line scare you. The character that they're talking about, he's awesome. So, he's out of control because he is a teenager, but yeah. I don't know what color this is, so I'm just going to set it aside. But this one, Antoinetta is a little bit older than the other characters are that get turned into Carpathians. And of course she is blind, which adds a little bit of mystery to her. And so it's a question of, once Byron converts her, will she regain her sight? Will she see, how many of these do I have? I don't think I have very many, so I'm just going to pull them from the... So, yes, very, very, very good. And it's also, the Scarlattis is actually in another book that Christine did that doesn't have anything to do with the Carpathians. It's called Lair of the Lion, and it introduces the Scarlatti family. But that is a standalone novel, and with the exception of Antoinetta in this book, I don't think you meet them again. So, but anyway, this is just a little over an hour, so I am going to go ahead and end this, but I'm going to continue on. We'll go through the next 10 stories. I think that'd be the easiest to do. Go to the next 10 stories and then go from there. So thank you, and we will continue on my husband in the next one. So I will see you later. Bye.